Hello, hello, hello. I'm so excited. We're here again at another podcast with the DNX, and I'm here today with my friend Conni Biesalski. He is a blogger, a YouTuber, and the creator of Live Your Heart Out. And I'm so excited to have you on the show. Thank you so much for making the time. And so let's start. I'm curious. Tell me, where are you right now in the world?
First of all, thanks for having me. I feel very honored. And second, I am actually right now in Germany. I'm staying with my mom in Bavaria, just north of Munich, and I'm here for 2 weeks while I was at a retreat, a meditation workshop in Spain, and so I'm adding on a bit of quality time with my family before heading over to South America. That's the plan.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
What kind of retreat did you do?
It was Dr. Joe Dispenza. It was the advanced workshop. It was my second advanced that I've done with him. And it was basically a 7-day meditation workshop where it was a bit of a mix of his lectures and then also a lot of meditations, obviously. So on average, we meditated for about 4 or 5 or 6 hours every day. We did a few morning walking meditations at 6 a.m. in the dark and the cold. We did a couple of pineal gland meditations at 4 a.m. in the morning. And they're all guided by him. And you experience some very profound and transformative things in those meditations. And he's pretty amazing. I think he's growing really big right now. He's got a few books. If anyone's interested in really cool stuff, then definitely check out Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Yeah, we'll definitely put some resources below the podcast. That sounds really interesting. What do you think was your biggest takeaway from this retreat?
Wow, there's so many of them, and I'm still in the process of integrating, obviously. But I think one of the main ones, just one thing that I rationally sort of finally implanted in my brain was that, when we're trying to manifest something, we're trying to heal from something, we're trying to manifest maybe more money or a great relationship or health, whatever it is, and you know how we eventually always keep asking ourselves, why hasn't it happened yet? Why is it not there yet? Why is my dream partner not here yet? Why am I still sick? Why am I still not making that money? And that's super normal, right? Because we want to have what we'd like to have. But in the end, for me to realize that every time I ask myself that question, every time I go into that place of scarcity, where I ask myself, why isn't it there yet? And feeling into that void of it not being there, it actually means that I'm separate from the experience and from manifesting it in my life. And when I'm separate from me and that experience that I want to have, it means that I'm working in the known. And the only real place where change, transformation, and manifestation can really happen based on quantum physics and based on Dr. Joe Dispenza's work and many other scientists' work, it really only happens in the unknown, in the quantum field, in that unified field. And what that means translated now for everybody who has no idea what I'm talking about, is when I need to basically become already what I want and be grateful for it before it happens. So if every day in my meditations, I go into that place of embodying and feeling and sensing exactly all these things that I'd like to invite into my life. Let it be that perfect partner, let it be all that money, all that big business, let it be, whatever it is that I'd like to manifest. And I sit with that and I feel into that. And I basically feel into how it actually feels when it's already happened. And and the best way to do this is to go into a place of gratitude. So by feeling gratitude for something that hasn't happened yet, we give our bodies and our minds that signal that it's already here. And so then our brain wants to close that connection between now and making it happen. And it's basically, in essence, you could say it's law of attraction. Just a bit deeper, because it's not just thinking I'm healthy, or I'm rich. It's actually feeling it. And that in itself for me, was a very profound, something that I knew before, but this time I feel like it really settled in. And, I had a couple of really profound experiences in meditations where I felt completely at one with myself and really whole and just so connected to myself, but also everybody else. And just that feeling of complete oneness is something that I think people that have had their awakening, their moment of enlightenment, I think if you can carry that every day for the rest of your life, then that's that. But I felt it several times in meditations, and just knowing that I can feel it and then it's there, that was massive too. So
yeah, it's a beautiful experience. Tell me, when I was reading about you, I was very curious that you talk about how to express yourself fully and live in a vulnerable life free of shame. What does that mean to you?
What does that mean to me? So it means really step into my truth and express myself fully, exactly the way I am, with all my feelings, with all my insecurities, with my past, with all the mistakes, with all the shame, with everything I feel embarrassed about, with all of my vulnerabilities, and just show it and just completely let go of any sort of shame that's attached to that. Because for me personally, shame has been a very toxic feeling in my life, and it held me back from really being who I am. And I feel like that over the years now, and through the work that I'm doing online, and through sharing a lot of my personal story, and through sharing a lot about my vulnerabilities and sort of owning them, I de-shamed so many parts of my life, and it's been so liberating and so beautiful. And seeing that has inspired so many other people to go down that path has been just mind-blowing. And it's been really important for my own process, but it's even more fulfilling, obviously, to see that it helps other people to de-shame parts of their lives. And highly recommended.
Yeah, absolutely. I think like the truth will set you free, right? And that means that we get to, if we let ourselves be seen in our uncomfortable truth, we stand a chance to rid ourselves of that shame that can hold us hostage if we let it.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, if we look around, and so many people carry so much shame in them, and for me, I still sometimes grieve that old Conni a little bit, that was so full of shame and just couldn't fully express her truth and who she really was inside and out. And I see so many other people who struggle with that, and it is definitely my mission in life, but also in business now, to get more people to get in touch with these parts of themselves and realize that it's okay to share them, and that we're lovable no matter what. And I think for me personally, that's a really big mission.
Yeah, I agree. What comes to mind, what I think is so beautiful, is that somebody said to me the other day, "It seems like you have no remorse," and to which I replied was, "No, I do not have any shame." Right. And I will not be shamed by you.
Right. Yeah.
There's a very big difference, because I take ownership of my vulnerabilities and actions. And therefore I am neither proud nor, ashamed of them, and it can come across as someone who is particularly wrapped up in their shame might might think of that as something that feels like that I don't have any remorse.
Right.
And it's not. It's just, there's something about the liberation of shame where you get to sit in the uncomfortable truth. And the more practice you have with it, the more you have the ability to sit in it and admit your flaws and your inconsistencies and your and your contribution to sometimes a not ideal situation. Because when you have the ability to do that and you have flexed that muscle for quite some time, it becomes easier and easier. And it can be met with some resistance.
Oh, for sure. Definitely. And, to be honest, I have definitely resisted some people in the online sphere because of that, when I was still in this place of shame, or, when I hadn't owned my own vulnerabilities yet, or I wasn't expressing them yet. And I would see the people that were doing it, and it would make me feel really uncomfortable. And then I would judge them, because they were kind of mirroring me. They were doing something that I actually desperately needed to do as well, but I just wasn't ready yet at that point. And that's always very interesting in general, right? Like as we move through the online sphere and click around on YouTube and Instagram, whatever. And I still get triggered sometimes by people, like, don't get me wrong. But I'm obviously now a lot more aware as to why I'm getting triggered. And most of the time it's actually because they're doing something that I also have inside of me. I'm just not in touch with that yet. And that usually helps. But yeah, I find it so beautiful just how many more people are stepping up and leveling up, and showing themselves more online and sharing their stories. And because we all carry so many beautiful stories, some of them are really painful, and very challenging. And nevertheless, they make us who we are. And it's just so beautiful to see that there's more and more people sharing them, and they're not afraid to share them anymore. And, I think that, the world will be, because I believe that this is just the beginning, but it's going to be a way more beautiful, vulnerable, special place when it's just, when we can live shame free and just share all of it and not be judged for it.
Yeah, I mean, like not being judged for it, that's a stretch, I think. I think for me, I needed to stop judging myself. I have very little control over other people's journeys and their ability to judge me for it and my journey. But I know that if I stand in my truth and share my pain, my shame, and my joy equally, and not judge myself for it, I have the ability to lead by example. I think when you're online and you're sharing, whether that's your story, it's interesting to see that, our lives come in phases. I know for myself that I have definitely gone through phases of extraordinary joy and pleasure where I felt very aligned. And I must say at the moment, I feel very much aligned with sort of my passion, my purpose, and opportunity shows up easily. And I have also had phases on this journey that really felt like the dark night of the soul that revisited unexpectedly, and having the courage to share that as much as sharing the joy is quite difficult at times.
For sure. While we're in it, while we're in the deep dark hole or tunnel, or it's definitely difficult. And sometimes, to be honest, there needs to be room for, in one way or another, good judgment, because sometimes when I'm really deep in it, it might not be the best time for me to share it. But sometimes I need a little bit of a lag, a little bit of time and space to reflect, to integrate, and then I can share it. Sometimes that might just be a day. Sometimes that might be a week, or maybe even a few months. Some things I've experienced in the last few years, I still haven't shared, maybe just because I still haven't fully understood it yet, or gotten to a place yet where I can share it in a way that's actually helpful for people and valuable for other people, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes there have been also times when I share in real time. But usually it's also, as we are going through these really dark times, in my case anyway, I usually sort of retreat a bit. I don't feel the need to share as much when I'm going through those sort of phases. I'm usually very introspective. I usually do a lot of writing, which I then share afterwards. But usually when it's really dark, there is not a whole lot of motivation also sometimes, or enthusiasm to share myself online. So that's also one thing. But yeah. It's what a journey, and I feel really blessed that I have this online space and these and I've created a following that's very different from the following that I used to have through my travel blog, that can really hold space too, and it's just so beautiful and loving, and send so many beautiful emails and comments and stuff when I am actually going through a really hard time. So that's really beautiful.
Yeah, that's yeah. Yeah, I find having community is a beautiful thing, and exercising discernment and when and how we share so that it's helpful is very mission critical to, assuming the role of somebody who wants to inspire people with their vulnerability. and the
Definitely, yeah.
story. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, there's always the question of oversharing, right? And some people are really worried about oversharing. They're like, well, if I, share this painful part of myself or this story or whatever, people might judge me because I'm, too open or I'm oversharing. And I believe I always ask myself the question with whatever I share online, how is this helpful? How is this valuable? If I share this story, if I share these thoughts, is this benefiting people, or is this just me sharing myself because I want to share?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think it has to be, there's a thin line between oversharing and, not being thoughtful of, is this me publicly processing something, or is this me offering processed information that could be helpful to others who are going through something similar? Because the biggest component that is helpful to get out of shame is identification. So if other people feel like they're not alone in that, by you sharing your story, that is beautiful. At the same time, our pain bodies connect to pain stories. And the question is, how do we want to connect to people? Do we want to connect to them in our pain, or do we want to connect to them by sharing our pain and how we work through it to have solutions that we offer?
Oh, exactly. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah. Tell me what created the shift between Planet Backpack into what you're doing now with Live Your Heart Out?
Yeah, it's been a long process actually. So I started Planet Backpack in 2012, and it took off pretty quickly and turned into one of Germany's biggest travel blogs. And I was making, a lot of money and passive income, and things were going really well. And I was one of the first to write about being a digital nomad in the German landscape, sort of. And that was all great, and it was fun. And I, started a few other businesses and with business partners, and taught people how to become professional bloggers and all of that. And, it was fun. And, but then as time went on, I was going through a lot of stuff. Roughly around the same time that I launched Planet Backpack, actually in 2012, I had a very big breakup that shattered my world, and that kind of sent me onto my spiritual journey inwards. And since then, it's just gotten deeper and deeper and deeper. And so eventually, I was going through a really, really hard time, maybe 2 years ago now. Was it 3 years ago? Who knows? Anyway, I was living in Bali in this really beautiful villa, and I had a perfect life, being a digital nomad, and doing a lot of yoga and surfing and hanging out. And I was literally living the 4-hour work week, and it was great. And yet I was going through a lot of stuff, and I was going through relationship issues, very painful. And, I was struggling a lot, and I felt like I couldn't share any of that online because I was a travel blogger and a digital nomad, and I needed to show people just how beautiful my life was. And I realized at one point, after going through several dark nights of the soul, that I can't keep going like that. I can't keep pretending like my life is awesome when it's actually not, because I just was so unhappy inside, and my life looked beautiful on the outside, but on the inside, I was in a lot of pain and very depressed. And I was like, hey, well, either I'm going to have to shut this whole travel blogging thing down, or I'm going to have to start sharing, because I can't pretend to be someone I'm not. And so I made the decision to start sharing. And I did that, and I wanted to kind of also spread the message that, being a digital nomad and sort of living out that lifestyle might be great, but it's not the end of the rainbow. It won't solve all of your problems. It's not going to make you happy for the rest of your life, because wherever you go, there you are. You take yourself and your baggage and your issues and whatever it is, you take that wherever you go. And even if the place is super beautiful, eventually after the honeymoon, after the first few weeks, you'll be faced with the same stuff again, and that you try to run away from. And I know this so well, because traveling for me, ever since I was a teenager, I've lived all over the place. I've been very nomadic, and traveling for me was always the easiest distraction. It was that instantaneous gratification pill, that you booked up. I was, having issues, or I was struggling with myself, or I was depressed, or things were not going well. Easy, go and book a flight and go somewhere else, and then the same thing would happen. And it took me a long time to make sense of that, and because for me, traveling was a big distraction. Other people, it's drugs, it's shopping, it's work, it's, there's so many different ways to distract ourselves. And so, it's like this, I had this blind spot, and anyway, so I started sharing, and I also left Bali, and, I started making more videos because I felt like, I wanted to be more immediate. I wanted to close the gap of what I wanted to express and what people received as a message from me, because I felt like there was still a gap. And when you write, or when you whatever, post on Instagram or something, and I felt like video would be a place to be even more authentic, to be even more transparent, and to be even closer to my followers and to share my message. And so I started doing more videos, started like a 30-day challenge, and I was like, wow, that's awesome. And so really enjoyed doing that. And after a while, I started to share more on video and more of my story. And I believe, I shared my coming out story. And the feedback was amazing, even though it was super difficult for me to share, because it was far away from the point where I'm today, where that would be no problem. But back then it was. I was tiptoeing into sharing my vulnerabilities, and so, and the more that I shared, the more beautiful feedback I got, and the more love I got. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. Every time I'm really scared to share something, it actually turns out really beautiful. And so I made more of those videos. And then about a year ago, I decided I wanted to go all in. And I like going where I like facing my fears consciously. And I decided, because I knew I still was struggling with quite a bit of shame and sharing vulnerabilities on a deeper level, I was like, okay, well, how about I do a 30-day vulnerability challenge? And every day for 30 days, I make a video talking about something I'm ashamed of, I feel embarrassed about, something that's vulnerable. And kind of like, I always ask myself the question every day, what's something I really don't want to share today? And then make a video about that. And so I did that, and it was such a beautiful experience. I learned so much. I grew so much just in that 1 month, and the feedback was so beautiful and amazing. And it also coincided with the fact that I had switched from German to English in my videos, and Instagram has always been in English, but I also felt like I needed to slowly let go of my travel blog, because I had outgrown it completely in this journey. And so I started a new platform called Live Your Heart Out. And I wasn't exactly quite sure what I was going to do with it. And, I went through all the branding questions and all of it, but I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to let this evolve. I'm just going to see what happens. And so through the videos and through even more personal growth on my end and going deeper into my journey, I just kind of realized, I think, who I want to be is someone who really lives their truth and shares that online. I want to basically evolve out loud. I want to inspire people on their personal journey inwards, and at the same time, I want to help them to really get in touch with how they want their life to look like. And at this point, I think I like to also bridge spirituality with lifestyle design and all of that. I don't just want to talk about spiritual ideas and concepts. And I like to be grounded still in a place where it's practical. And I like to share my learnings and make it approachable and relatable for people. And so at this point, I think to say that it's a combination of like personal development, personal growth, and lifestyle design for unconventional people that's kind of where I'm at this point with Live Your Heart Out. And I also created an online course about vulnerability, because I felt like I really wanted to help more people to tap into these places within themselves and share them online. And I'm now working on I don't know exactly what form it will take, but some sort of program, something, a course, workshop, that is going to get people closer to finding their calling and their higher purpose. And so that's where I'm at this point. I've so many ideas with Live Your Heart Out. I'm super inspired right now and just wish my days had 48 hours.
Yeah.
But yeah, alas, it's only 24.
I know that feeling. I have so many things I'm excited about myself right now, and I wish there was more time in the day to make it all happen all at once. We're already at the end of our time, so thank you so much for being here today. Thank you so much for sharing your vulnerability. I can't wait to...
Thank you so much for having me.
I can't wait to see more of what you have. And of course, let us know if you have any courses that you're releasing. We definitely want to hear about it. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you too. Bye.
Bye. That's it for today. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for your ongoing support. Before I leave you, I want to invite you into my world. Please go check out dnxcommunity.com. This is where you'll find the other nomads and evaders of convention. We'll see you there. And if you're interested in our English-speaking events, go and check out dnxglobal.com. You'll find the link below this podcast as well. And if you have time, one last favor, please go to iTunes, look for Sylvia Chrisman or look for the DNX podcast and leave a review. Thank you so much, lovely people, and I'll talk to you next time.